Okay, now Devin will bring up the topic of campaign finance reform. Woo.
Okay, so as I'm sure everyone is aware, there was a recent Supreme Court ruling in 2010 called Citizens United v. FEC, which decided that, as an extension of the fact that the court had previously decided that money equals speech and political means, and that corporations in some manners act as citizens circa 1886, the corporations in their role as citizens have the right to spend freely on elections as freedom of speech. Now, what that's caused is a lot of changes in campaign finance and elections in general, as super PACs became very prevalent and began inundating the system with lots and lots of money to try to get certain candidates elected. And what we're looking at now is what effects that is having on the system and whether or not it's good or bad.
Okay. What do you guys think? Adam? Oh, Phil. Go ahead.
I guess I was just going to say, it's, on the one hand, if we assume that corporations are, in fact, people, basically, then, they do have the right to do this. On the other hand, we have stuff like the McCain-Feingold Act, up until now, in place exactly to prevent this kind of stuff. There needs to be some sort of limit on spending. And so we kind of come to the interesting question. It's, how do you limit it, while at the same time not denying corporations their right of free speech, thus spending? So, yeah.
Go ahead.
I think what can be done, and there's not much that can be done about a Supreme Court decision, but I think all it's done is given people the right to give this money. There's nothing that prevents us from passing regulations to make it more transparent, which would solve a lot of problems. And I don't think that it's going to destroy the political process. There's been a lot of research which shows that money enables a candidate to get their message out, but it can't really buy wins. The California election, the Republican outspent, I don't even remember how much, but by a ridiculous ratio, and still didn't win. There have been studies that show that spending per voter isn't really correlated with victory once you get enough to get your message out.
I would like to add on to that.
Okay.
May Whitman spent $200 million of her own money, and the Democratic candidate won. And I hear lots of people saying, oh, now the corporations are going to be giving all the Republican candidates lots of money because Republicans give corporations tax cuts, etc. But then you look at Obama, and his PACs are huge because the unions have so much more power. I look at the donations. If you go to transparencydata.com, you'll see that candidates like Dianne Feinstein and other liberals, their contributions from the American Federation of Teachers, or the Teachers Union, they like $5,000 a month from them, and $50,000 from here, and it's your unions, like every single one, Association of Electrical Workers, all the unions have money, and it balances out, so it's on a level playing field, Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah, if I maybe just a brief point about statistics. You're right, the corporations give a lot more than unions, but corporations hedge their bets. They give about 60-40, roughly, Republicans and Democrats. Unions are giving almost entirely Democrats. Obama actually got more McCain-Feingold regulated money than McCain did during that election cycle, although he also got a lot more money in general, and the general discrepancy was greater than the discrepancy of regulated money. So I think this might help Republicans slightly, but I don't think it's going to be a drastic.
So really it seems like here the question is it correlation or causation for money causing electoral wins? And it seems to certainly be the case that it's merely correlation. So ideally this gives everyone enough money to get all of their message out, and therefore evens the playing field. However, the question is it actually having that effect, or is that just wishful thinking on our part, essentially?
I guess we'll just have to wait till a few more elections to really see. Because there definitely is increased spending, but we're not going to see the effect of that.
Well, that's the effects of this decision. Do you actually agree with the decision? Do you think corporations are their own individual?
The decision was horrible from a constitutional law perspective because it's derived from a obiter dictum statement in an 1886 case which has been misinterpreted for the last 130 years. But I'm not too sure that the effects of the decision are all that catastrophic.
Can you translate the Latin for us?
Obiter dictum means it's something a judge said, but it wasn't actually in the opinion. It was something noted by the court reporter as a, I believe, head note to the case.
Now, my personal opinion, I don't think corporations are people. Corporations are corporations. But since the topic is campaign finance reform, I was want to go off like on another sort of tangent. Like, what do you guys think? What else should be done to actually totally reform campaign finance? Because, for example, I don't like in the current system, unless you're a millionaire, you can't really even run for office. Like, it just won't happen. There's no way. Simply because of how much campaigns cost. The millionaires, they can spend all the money they want, advertisements, TV ads, newspaper ads, etc. The average person simply can't, no matter what.
I mean, Christine O'Donnell was broke. Now, she's not a model of a successful candidate, but she's managed to basically keep her finances afloat by constantly running for office, getting donations, and failing. But if someone like her can literally keep themselves afloat just by running for office, then it's got to be possible for non-millionaires. It's certainly harder, but
as you said, she failed every single time.
Look at Obama. Obama's no Rockefeller. Right? Obama's not in the top billionaires club like Warren Buffett. And the first time that this happened with money was McKinley, the McKinley election in 1896. You have Marcus Hanna, and he's the head of all the major corporations in Ohio and the other Northeast. And he's the one that raised $16 million in 1800s money for McKinley, and that's how he beat William James Bryant, because they blamed it on the fact that he could just buy off all the workers and be like, you're all fired if you don't vote for them. That's corruption. But just buying like advertisements, that's not corrupt. I don't see any reason why limiting people's spending is, or why their spending is bad, and so we should need to limit it. We shouldn't limit it at all.
To me, it seems like the biggest issue is simply transparency. Like, a lot of people think that you're buying votes by doing certain things, but you're not going up to a candidate and saying, I will give you this money if you vote for this. You're going up to a candidate who will vote for that regardless, because it's in their ideology, and saying, I want you to win so that you will vote for this. You aren't buying candidates. That's one thing that really gets forgotten a lot.
Now, just another sort of topic. Do you guys think that every candidate should be able to sort of, raise as much money as possible? Or do you think there should be some, like, federal limit? For example, do you think, like, maybe at first, a candidate should have to raise a certain amount of money to sort of show, okay, people are donating, his campaign is sort of working. And then, after that, should he be like Obama, being able to raise millions of dollars? Or should there be some sort of, like, federal limit on every single candidate of how much money can be spent?
Absolutely not, because money just translates to verbal support or physical support. Because instead of money, let's just say everyone just bought Obama an ad in the newspaper, in their local newspaper. That would be like donating money, but most people wouldn't be like, oh, it's horrible, everyone's buying ads and putting signs in their yard, because that all comes from their money they're spending on Obama.
And I think that almost touches back on the constitutional point, where the court didn't say corporations are people. Corporations are groups of people that have gotten together to collectively use their resources, like money. It's if 5 of us individually have the right to spend, to donate as much money as we want, then 5 of us who've made a corporation should still have the extension of that right. That's what the court ruled. So I think it's important to see the distinction between corporations as the extensions of individuals and corporations are people.
Devin, did you want to say something? So you're just looking at
Leave me for now.
Okay, well, we're running out of time again, sorry. So, for the last time, we'll just go in a circle to see what everyone's opinion is on campaign finance reform. Would you like to add anything, Zach?
I don't see that much worth adding. I think I've summed up. The court decision is dubious. A lot of Supreme Court decisions rely on a lot of arcana, which is fascinating to study, but we don't all know, although it would certainly be great too. But I think there are ways to mitigate the impact of decisions like this, increase transparency, and realize that money is not the end-all be-all of politics.
So Supreme Court sucks. Cool. Devin, what do you think?
I agree that the court decision was probably questionable, especially because it broadened the issue deliberately, which isn't something the court's supposed to do. But the decision is easily mitigatable. I don't believe there should be a minimum amount of money raised to be required to run, and I don't think there should be a cap, because there's a diminishing marginal value of every campaign dollar you spend, so it's not really going to matter all that much.
Hopefully all the non-econ people understood what diminishing marginal value is. Adam?
It means that I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm less valuable than you all. But anyways, I think that the Supreme Court decision, though based on legal precedent, was very flimsy and had pretty good reasoning. I could see how businesses are extensions of individuals. And like I said earlier, if you want to donate your opinion, if you want to donate your message to Obama, if you do it in the form of money, that's no different in the form of advertisement or flyers. Therefore, there should be no cap on campaign spending.
I think the main thing we kind of argued is, we definitely looked a bit at the constitutionality of the Supreme Court ruling. The main thing we kind of looked at today was whether or not essentially money bought votes, and I think that's an argument that has been going on for a long time. It's going to be continuing to go on for a long time. Personally, I don't know, but I mean, it's definitely something interesting. I know Devin definitely has his opinion on it. Maybe it's right, maybe it's not. We'll see.
Okay, now what I think, like I said, I don't really think corporations are people at all. They're a lot more powerful. They have a lot more influence, in my opinion. I didn't say this. There wasn't really a point where I could have really mentioned this a whole lot. In my opinion, the thing with people being able to donate money is when really powerful corporations donate money, is they tend to have their own really. I'm trying to phrase it in a way. Their own interests in mind. Yeah. So, if a lot of them, for example, support a certain candidate, I'll just say, for example, Obama, just because I can't think of anyone else, not saying Obama. If none of them support Obama because he in some way will support them back and benefit their interests, more of them will donate money to them. So I think there should be sort of a limit. I can elaborate on that at some other point because we're out of time. Yeah, that's my crazy libertarian viewpoint. So that's the end of our show. We hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.